I am ready to go learn about history. So I'm just preparing with my history shoes to learn about the past. There's no place like the past. There's no place like the past. There's no place like the past.
Hi, we're back to talk more about the Middle Ages today. Just a reminder, the Middle Ages is the time between the fall of Rome, which happened in, say it, 476. Rome was picking up the sticks. And the Middle Ages ended when the Renaissance began. So Middle Ages is also called the medieval period. Takes place in Western Europe because you remember in the East, the Byzantine Empire was alive and kicking still. So we have chaos in Western Europe. But then we have this guy. He lived in France, what we call France. He's a Frankish king. His name is Charlemagne. I know you're saying, hey, I see Latin in that. He was also Charles the Great. And Charlemagne comes up with a system of making life easier for people in Europe. He comes up with something called feudalism. And feudalism is basically signing a feudal contract with a lord, somebody overseeing you. Feudalism's an exchange of promises. Here, you can have some land to farm on, and then if I need you to fight for me, you're going to fight for me and protect my land. So this is a way to keep invaders from coming in and destroying everything you owned because you have people working together in order to protect each other. And again, if you're being protected, you can sort of farm in peace for a while. So this idea of feudalism, you want to make sure you know Charlemagne's really associated with that. Charlemagne's a Frankish leader, meaning he lived in what we call France. And he's called Charles the Great or Charlemagne for a few reasons. Not only did he pretty much offer a system of protection in Western Europe after or during a time of chaos, but additionally, he valued education and learning. Now, when the Middle Ages was taking place, most people were illiterate. Unless you were part of the church, you did not know how to read or write because you're just trying to survive from day to day. Charlemagne values education, gives a reprieve to some of the chaos because of the protection he's offering. So we have a little bit of education starting up again, but it doesn't last too long. When he dies, he divides his empire, or that happens when he dies, and then it basically falls apart and things are a little bit chaotic again. But this idea of feudalism that we associate with Charlemagne is a system of protection, sort of like I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine. I think I said that backwards, but that's okay. So if I'm a king, I have a kingdom. So king, kingdom. Let's say I'm Charlemagne. And this square is my land. And I'm going to divide it into 4 squares because I can't oversee all of it by myself. And I'm going to give a lesser lord, a noble, the ability to oversee that smaller plot of land for me. Now the noble can't do it alone, so the noble is going to hire some knights. And so we're going to have different knights overseeing different pieces of land. So we have a knight, 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 knight. So again, we've got knights overseeing the land for the nobles. Now this knight has many vassals. He's overseeing many peasants working the land. And again, it's a system of promises. Everybody's doing their job so that they have some protection so they're able to farm again. So when you're talking about feudalism, you're talking about a social system that ends up being established at the top of it, you have your king or your lord of the castle. This is a time when we have castles and moats and knights and armor and all that evolving. At the bottom, you have your peasants. Who are your farmers? These are your vassals. So, you can be a lord and a vassal. So let me try to explain that to you. You have your king. You have your noble. You have your knight. You have your peasant. So if I'm a noble, I'm the boss of knights and peasants. So I'm their lord. But if I'm a noble, I'm the vassal of the king because he's my boss. Okay? So when you think about feudalism, and you might have a reading that you can access that teaches you a little bit more about feudalism, think about knights, think about people in charge of other people. We still sort of have that today. You can think of different jobs where you have a boss, but your boss has a higher boss overseeing a bigger group. So feudalism brought protection, made it so people could farm again, made it so life was a little bit better. All right, so who started feudalism again? Yes, it's Charlemagne. Good job. Where in the world did it start? France. All right, so we're going to talk about another Frankish leader, and his name was William the Conqueror. And he wasn't a king in France, but he was still a significant guy. All right, here's my map again. Here's England. Here's Western Europe. So we'll say this is France. So in France, there was a duke. So that would have been a noble. There was a duke who lived in France, in the region of France called Normandy. And he wants to be king of England. It's not really that simple. The king of England had died, and there were a couple of people possibly lined up to be heir to the throne. Well, William of Normandy thought he was one of the ones who was heir to the throne. So he crosses the English Channel, lands in England, and there's a place called Hastings. The year is 1066. This is after Charlemagne's time. And William, Duke of Normandy, a part of France, fights against England, and he becomes the king. So it's 1066. William the Conqueror, we know he won because he's called William the Conqueror, not William the guy who lost that we wouldn't be learning about, but he's called William the Conqueror in 1066, conquers England, taking charge of England and establishing a form of feudalism there. So William spoke French. The people in England spoke a Germanic language. So we have a blend of French plus English, French plus German, to come up with English. So English is not a Romance language. French was, but English is not. And William the Conqueror changes things up in England quite a bit. And they start to blend those languages because he would have spoken French. Other people would have spoken the Germanic languages. So if you look at the English language today, you can see a lot of words that come from German or French. So similarities with some of those languages. All right, so I feel like I've covered a lot today. Don't want to overwhelm you. So I'm going to stop here and we'll talk another day more about the Middle Ages.